So this sounds super risky, right? Like you sell the house, your name's not on title, but you're just kind of like hoping that this person continues to pay the mortgage. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex. I am a real estate investor, and I want to make these videos to share with you the things I'm learning, challenges I'm having, struggles I'm overcoming, with the intention that you use this information to accelerate your own journey. So today, I would like to answer the question, why would a seller ever sell to you on subject to? Once you kind of have a better understanding of the advantages, why they might actually want to do this, you're going to be able to better overcome a lot of their objections once you have a good understanding of how this actually does benefit them, right? So that is hopefully what you take away from this video. Okay, so first off, what is subject to? What is a subject to real estate transaction? Subject to in the real estate world is essentially buying a property subject to the existing financing or really any other lien. Um, it differs from a traditional sale in the fact that the underlying debt does not get paid off. So in a normal sale, you go, I get my own bank loan, I pay off their bank loan, we transfer title, everything like that. In a subject to transaction, I don't go get a new bank loan. I buy that property subject to the existing financing that is already there, and I take over that debt. So the question is, why would a seller ever want to do that? Why would they ever want to continue to have a mortgage on the property that they sold? Their name is no longer on title, but their name is still on the debt. Why would a seller want to do that? There are, I would say, multiple different reasons why a seller might want to do this, but ultimately, all of them kind of fall under the umbrella category of it's more money, right? So you get more money. That underlying debt on the property could be fairly valuable and could definitely allow a buyer to pay more for that property, right? So a couple reasons why that might be attractive to a buyer. It probably has a lower interest rate, especially like today. If there was a loan that was gotten year, 2, 3 years ago, it most likely has a much lower interest rate. It's more, the loan is more mature. So as loans mature, the split for that monthly payment, at first it's like pretty much all interest, and then as time goes on, it kind of flips. So the more mature a loan is, the less you're actually paying in interest as well. So that's super valuable. There are advantages where you really don't have to go through, get any appraisals, any origination fees, any pay any points or pay lots of costs associated with getting a new loan. So you can also essentially pass those savings on to the seller. And also, you don't have to go through a traditional qualifying process, and that can be valuable to a lot of people. It can be valuable to real estate investors who already have 500 loans in their name and they have a hard time getting more loans in their name. Or it could be valuable to someone who maybe is a business owner or has maybe a lot of write-offs or something where their income might not be the best for getting traditional qualifications. So that would also be valuable to somebody in that situation where they might be willing to pay extra. So this sounds super risky, right? Like you sell the house, your name's not on title, but you're just kind of like hoping that this person continues to pay the mortgage, right? So how are you protected in this situation? What are your options here? Essentially, you can set it up to be as risky or as low risk as you want, right? So I always like to say there are no rules. You can set it up however you want. Typically, the way we do it is if the buyer ever misses a payment by 30 days, the whole house can get deeded right back to the seller. That way, let's say 5 years down the road, the buyer misses a payment by 30 days. Now the seller is going to get that property back. They're going to get it back with a lower loan balance because the buyer had been paying down that equity that whole time. And hopefully, houses typically go up in value. The house is probably worth more. So you're going to get the house back with more equity. They're going to be able to sell it twice, do whatever they'd like to do at that point. And that really also disincentivizes that buyer from ever wanting to do that because they would lose their entire investment. All the time, energy, and effort they put into that property, they lose their down payment, the closing costs, etc., any other improvements they've done to the property. So also, you can do additional things to protect yourself, right? So there's various documents and consult your attorney, obviously, but just a couple other common things. There's performance deeds out there. I would actually recommend always using a servicing company. So a servicing company essentially services that loan now, and it provides proof that the buyer is now the one making the payment, so it can be removed from the seller's debt to income ratio. And also, it can notify the seller every time there's a payment or a missed payment as well. So that's big. Also, you can be sure to vet your buyer thoroughly. So you still want to verify their income, verify they have a track record of success, verify they have other properties, stuff like that. Or you could even just set it up as a wrap. So essentially, the 30-second rundown of what a wrap is. Let's say I have a loan on a house. I want to sell it on a wrap to Bob. What I would do is I would take that loan on the house, call it for 100,000, and I would wrap a loan on top of that, and I could make it for 110,000, or I could make it for a higher interest rate. Doesn't matter. Or you could do the exact same and just that would be a mirror wrap. Then the advantage there is that Bob pays me, I pay the underlying mortgage. So it kind of gives me a little bit more control, I guess you could say, in making sure that underlying mortgage is paid as well. So a wrap is also an option too. A lot of people ask too, like, isn't this illegal? Isn't this loan fraud? The answer to that is absolutely not. No, it's perfectly legal. It's been done for over 100 years. It's literally on the HUD statement. It's line 203 on the HUD statement, so you can just look at it. Kind of always makes me giggle when people say like, "This is loan fraud," like you guys are scammers or something. So, but what you might be wondering is, isn't there a due on sale clause in my loan documents stating that basically if I ever sell the property, the loan is going to get called due whenever you sell? The answer is yes. Most of the loans we do, 99% of the deals we do rather, have a due on sale clause in the mortgage. And that due on sale clause technically allows that bank to accelerate the loan and foreclose if we don't pay. The reality, though, is that banks rarely do this. Foreclosing on a property and doing that is a money losing proposition for them. And it absolutely does not make financial sense for them to foreclose on a property that has a performing mortgage. So the only times it ever happens is usually it's very small banks that are just kind of scared, freaked out by this, and maybe you messed up and you weren't paying the insurance or something like that, something that raised a red flag, and now they're all nervous. So I'm a part of a group called Sub 2, roughly 12,000 members. Obviously, we specialize in transactions like this. So we have decent data. The best data I've seen says it's roughly 1 in 1,000 houses, maybe 1 in 500 if you want to be safe. So it is a very rare thing. It's not common at all. Like I said, it does not make sense for a bank to do that. They would just lose money. Um, so that is why it happens so infrequently. But let's just say it does happen, right? How do we get out of the situation? Really, all that has to happen, like it's not that big of a deal. The buyer would either need to refinance, sell, or just call the bank and figure out a solution. Lots of banks just like want you to do a contract for deed or something like that, and that fixes the entire issue. So people really get all worked up about the due on sale clause. In reality, it's super rare. And then when it does happen, it's like there are solutions. Like it's not that big of a deal. So, and I wanted to just also run over a couple of real life examples. Hopefully that'll help you kind of cement in your guys' head why a seller might actually want to do this. So one good example, we bought a property from a guy named Hugo. Hugo bought this property, I think less than a year ago, probably used like 100% financing because he had literally zero equity in this thing. And then he had to move. He was actually moving out of the country. So he had negative equity. He had it listed on the market with a realtor, but the realtor obviously had to put the price so crazy high to try to get him uh, to walk away from the table without having to bring a crazy amount of money that no one was buying this thing. And he's struggling to make the payment. The payment was like almost 3 grand every single month. And there's an HOA and all that stuff. So he was in a really tough spot. He's trying to move out of the country. No one's able to buy his house, and he cannot afford to make the payment. With subject to, we were actually able to take over that loan, and we paid the full price, and we put money in his pocket, and we paid all the closing costs and everything like that. So we came in and we were able to do what literally no other buyer was able to do because of subject to, right? So his underlying debt was valuable, and it allowed us to kind of look at it through the lens of, instead of like, what is the purchase price for this house? Now I can kind of be like, okay, I don't care about purchase price. What's the cash on cash return on this property? and maybe the loan is very good. Maybe it was a low interest rate. Maybe I can make it into a great Airbnb, whatever. It made sense when you look at it through that lens. So this is just another option that allows us to do that. Another example had bought a duplex from a girl named Alice. So she had a duplex. She wanted a fairly high price, in my opinion, above market value. And again, that's fine. She wanted to. She's an investor. She wanted to maximize her investment, and I was able to help her do that by buying her property subject to, and I took over that underlying debt as a good interest rate, allowing me to give her the highest possible purchase price and help her really squeeze and extract the most amount of money possible out of that property. So, in conclusion, why would a seller ever sell subject to? It always boils down to they're going to get more money, right? So that might be, a homeowner who is maybe in distress. They're in a low equity situation. They need to sell. Or another common one is foreclosure, and they owe more than the property's worth, right? Subject to might be a great option for them because it allows them to sell their house for much higher than they traditionally would be able to. Or it might be an investor who wants to sell subject to because they're looking to maximize their investment and get the most amount of money possible, right? So that's essentially the main reason somebody might want to do that. Hopefully, you have a better understanding of why someone might want to do that, what it is, what the risks are, and hopefully, this allows you to do maybe more subject to transactions that benefit both parties. You are able to get more properties, they're able to get more money. Hopefully, it's a win win for everybody. But let me know what you guys took away from this video, and let me know what you guys want to see on the next one.